Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Grow Your Faith with me, Mike Shusta, and my co-host, Pat Milligan. Pat, great to see you again today. Excited about our conversation today on how to serve Christ. I'm going to just hand it over to you so we can get going. And I hope as you listen to this that you prepare your hearts for what God can bring and hopefully show you to make your faith just a little bit better today.
Might say just first, I'm living the dream today.
Are you?
I live in Jekyll Island, Georgia, and I get to do this broadcast with you of growing your faith. So I'm living the life.
You and me both. I wish I was in Jekyll Island though, but I'm in Pensacola.
Right.
So
That's all right. Okay, we're going to talk about how to share Christ. We're going to take the word Christ today, or the word share today, and give you 5 things of how we can share Christ with others. First of all, number 1 is speak for Christ. Boy, it's so important that we speak for Christ. In Matthew 10:20 says, "For it is not that speaketh, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh through you." In other words, God speaks to you through your life. And it's amazing how God will help you when it comes down to speaking to others. Many are hesitant when this happens because they fear rejection. I know myself, I am a backward individual. A lot of people don't realize that. I guess I'm backwards. I get to know someone and I talk too much. But I'm really backward. And I really had a hard time in the matter when I got saved of trying to share the gospel. I had to listen. I had to trust God in this. And a lot of people fear rejection and feel that they cannot do that. But I want you to know, if you are to share Christ, you must speak for him. He will give you the words to say. Sometimes I can't understand how words come out of my mouth, but how God prepares me for that. But I want you to see today the first one in the word share is speak for Christ. Second thing I want to see is the H is hold to Christ. In Hebrews chapter 10:13 says, "Let us hold fast to our faith." Our faith is so important that we have in our life. How we live our life will help us. The faith of many people, many Christians waver. They fail to pray. People, they fail to read their Bible. They fail to be faithful. And because if they fail those 3 things, I fail one of those things. And it's amazing how that keep us from sharing the gospel with other people. But I'm saying to you today, if you are to share Christ, we must stay close to him. Live for him daily. Live for him. Now, you're under my voice today. And, I know we're talking to some of you that are right where we are, Mike, where we're trying to live for God. But some of them probably a little different today. No matter where you're at today, I'm saying to you, stay close to God. If you might say, well, I'm about 10 steps away from him. Hey, go one more closer to him. It'll make a big difference. But stay close to him. Second thing, have fellowship with him. I have fellowship with him in reading my Bible, getting things out of God's word, or listen to other people that are Christians. Our listen to Christian music. It's amazing how those really help you. But also, we need to renew our faith. When we hold to our faith, we need to renew it. And thank God every day that what we're doing in our life. But notice the third thing here, just not speak for him, hold to him, but the word A, advance with Christ. What I mean by advance with Christ, move closer to God today. Move closer to him. Many Christians become discouraged and lose enthusiasm. I sing a song and I'm not going to sing because I can't sing it. Mike, you probably could. This rhythm. That song.
Oh yeah.
You fellas, that song, man. That thing gets you going. When you talk about that song. But many Christians lose at their rhythm. I think today, I wonder, I don't know how many different counts we had at camp through the times we were there, Mike. But there's quite a few. I wonder how many today are that had that split rhythm in their lives. Or maybe they've lost it. But I'm saying to you today, if you lost it, step back toward God. You can do it. it's tough sometimes. See, many times people people we must not retreat when it comes down. We must be advanced to retreats. A lot of people retreat backwards. But if you go back, hey, just look forward. A retreat is looking back and then looking forward to what's there. Like we had those retreats at camp. Man, I'd love to have a big retreat of Growing Our Faith listeners. That'd be a great thing to have a retreat to see what God's doing, or just get people together to try to help them to get to where they need to be for God. But they said retreats, but also they said standing still. Many Christians stand still in this thing. In other words, it's a good person doing nothing. And I tell you what, that's right where the devil wants you, because he will attack you in many different ways. But we're supposed to share Christ. We must supply. He will supply the strength for us to go forward, to go knocking on doors and talking to people. And we need to be just ready to be there, whatever God has for us. But then this is not the speaking the truth, but holding to Christ, but advance to Christ. But also we need to rejoice in the Lord. The R is rejoice and sharing. Rejoice in Philippians 4:4 says, rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. Man, I tell you what, that's exactly what we need to do: rejoice in the Lord Jesus Christ. I look back in my life. There's some times sometimes you ever get to the point where sometimes you don't feel like rejoicing. you get there sometimes, but because we get indifferent, that's why. But we're supposed to rejoice in the Lord. See, some Christians fail to share Christ because they don't rejoice in Him. And because they don't rejoice in Him, you know what they have? They have a negative attitude.
Yeah.
When they look like things in life. Like right now, you might be sitting on my voice today, this night, and say, man, I just don't think I can make it. I don't think I can make it. I don't think I can rejoice in God because of where I'm at today. But let me tell you what, you can rejoice in God. But then I want you to look at the fifth thing is the word E in share, is endure with Christ. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, is endure with Him. See, because if we do that, we want to share things with Christ, share with people around us. Because I tell you what, it's the greatest thing to share. Now, I had many opportunities, and still have many opportunities, is throughout the years, is I always had a team every day sit in front of me, and I get to share the gospel with them. Mm-hmm. Now, let me just say this. I never take for granted that every one of them are living for God. I never take it for granted, because they might not be. And I try to share Christ with them, or even to the point of where they may not be saved, because you never know where someone's at in their salvation. And I'm saying to you, we endure with Christ, because if we endure with Christ, it makes a big difference. He'll give us the strength to go on. Now, let me just say this, to go back to this, says people are looking for happiness. They are. And let me tell you, if they see in us, they will respond. If they see that what I'm saying is I'm happy and rejoicing, it makes a big difference. Or they will seek out joy we have. I can remember when I was at Beth Haven, my wife taught for 25 years in Christian school. And she always wanted, back when I first met her, she always wanted to become a nurse. And she said, I think I would want to, after Jason gets out of school, I want to go back to school and become a nurse. I said, fine, if you want to do that, do it. And she did do that. But what happened? She had to go, she started working at the hospital, and then she had to take some prereqs before she could get into nursing school. But when she got into nursing school, I said to her, I said, hon, I'm willing. I'm the youth pastor. I'm the athletic director. I'm the coach of all the teams. But I'm willing to take on a job from 11 to 7 at night for you to go to school, if that's what you want to do. Because I don't want you to work 3 days a week, 12 hours a day. I want you to work just the weekends, and then I want you to go to school. Well, we started to do that. Okay. Now, when I started working at Walmart, okay, that's when my dad was, his business was always like a Walmart. And I went to work at Walmart, and I started working there, and I'll work hard when I work. I mean, I don't, I'm not a lazy person. I work hard, and the people around me, one guy in particular, one day I don't know how he found out that I was a preacher, but he started calling me preacher at work. Other words, he saw that I was serious about working hard, and I had a great testimony from because people around the secular world, a lot of them don't have a good testimony. They don't have, they're not a Christian probably. But he started looking at, and I started realizing the most important thing I can do in life, and you can do in life, is living in front of people that they know that you're serious about it. They know that I was happy about things. They know that they even knew that I worked during the day and I had to work 11 to 7. But then the problem is I even went over the manager and assistant manager at the Walmart, where they said, Pat, whatever hours you need to work, you can work them. In other words, I didn't have to work 11 to 7 like everyone else. Because I had games sometimes. I got back at 1, 2 in the morning, I had to go to work. Okay. But why I did it, I don't say this because I want to say, I feel sorry for me. I want to do that for my wife. But then I wanted to do it to be a testimony to all those people there. And of course, I went through those 2 years. And of course, after that, my wife I went to school and she passed her boards with the nursing. She became a nurse. And that's what I want to do. But my point is today is I wanted to show you that sharing Christ by whatever you do makes a big difference. And I tell you what, it was a long way. They begged me to stay. They begged me to stay and keep working, but I tell you what, after a while, I got tired, and so on. But it was good. But come back to this, taking those the words there of sharing, I wanted to come back to this thought. Here's our thinking and God's thinking on a few things in the matter of sharing the gospel or whatever thing you do in your life. First of all, our thinking, it says it's impossible. In other words, it's impossible to share the gospel. But let me tell you what God says. All things are possible. Luke chapter 18 says, are impossible with man, but possible with God. See, things are possible. They're possible. They're impossible with God, but God will help us. God's things makes a difference. But notice another one. It says, I am too tired. So many times we get so wore out in things that we do. And sometimes we're bounced up. Where's this house? But we say, I'm too tired. But God says, I will give you rest. He says in Matthew 11:28, come unto me. He says, I'll give you rest. I'll give you the strength that you need to keep on going. I'll give you the words to say and all that. Here's another one. Nobody really loves me. Sometimes my words might love me. And because you feel you're not loved, you don't feel like sharing the gospel with anybody either. But here's what God says. He says, I love you, John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, whosoever believes in him does not perish but have everlasting life. Man, I tell you what, God has to respond to everything we do. So someone goes on and says, I can't figure this out. He says, nobody cares for me. First of all, it says, God says, I care for you. Cast all your cares upon me. That means today, if we really feel that we want to share the gospel, we can't, give everything to God and let God help you in this. But then let me give you one more thing here. It says, I cannot do it. I cannot do it. But those what God says, you can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. I can do it if God allows me to do it. I can do it for Christ. But also, this one thing says, I cannot forgive myself. Sometimes we can say we can't forgive ourselves. That's tough sometimes when we're battling stuff. But notice what God says here. It says, I will forgive you. If you confess your sins, he is just and forgives for all of our sins, and he cleanses from all unrighteousness. And I'm saying to you, as you think about this, the word sharing today, listen to these things. Yes, speak for him, hold to him, advance in him, rejoice in him, and endure in him. And remember, in Matthew 24, it says, but he that shall endure to the end. In other words, we shall endure to the end. And I might say this, against the challenge of sharing the gospel to someone, if you ever had someone that is lost, I think in the broadcast way back when my one of my nephews, my brother's boy, got hit by a car in New York City and killed him. And at that point, they're Roman Catholic, and I thought, well, man, I don't know if they're saved or not. But as we went on and thought thinking about this, Joe came up with the idea. My son, he says, I'm going to try to contact. We heard that he's from a certain church. He did not go to the Baptist, the Catholic Church anymore. He went to another church, and we found the name. And Joe contacted the youth pastor there and said, "Can you tell me something about my cousin? My cousin that was killed in the accident in New York City." And he said, "Yes, I can." He said, "Did he ever make a profession of Jesus Christ?" And Joe asked him, and the pastor there said, "Yeah, he did. I can tell you for sure that I know it's for sure that he asked Christ to come in his heart."
Yeah.
Well, that's the greatest thing they ever experienced. But it's by us being a testimony and everything we do is so important. And I'm saying to you that it's the greatest thing that ever happened. But let me tell you, leave this with you. This thought: Who cares if a sinner goes to hell? God the Father does. God the Son does. The lost in hell does. The saving glory does. And no, you should care also of where someone goes spend eternity. It's going to be up to you to be that light in his life. If you're not the light, get where you need to be, get things settled to be a light that you can share the gospel with other people. That's my thoughts today, Mike.
That's great. I was just met with someone this week, and I like that acronym of share that you have, because even with other Christians, as I was sitting talking to this guy, all he really needed was a friend.
Right. That's right.
He needed a friend, and he needed a friend who would, one, listen to him, but also speak truth back. And, I told him, we just brought our friendship even closer in that meeting, because, we all need that. We all need that godly friendships in our life. It's not just sharing with the lost how to get saved, but it's also sharing with the brokenhearted, sharing with the people who have lost their way. And I think so much, Pat, of people that God brought in my life, and how instrumental they were. And this whole podcast about grow your faith, and why I was so excited when Pat agreed to do this with me, is to give these teachings and encouragement to you guys, because it's simple. It is truth.
That's right.
Simple truths that are given out here to us. What is important for us to do? Are we going to listen to them, and are we going to follow them? A lot of us, we're not present in our lives. We're listening, and you're hearing the podcast, but maybe that's as far as it goes. I want to encourage you today, take the steps, work the worksheet, follow your heart, follow the path God has laid out for you. And the payoff is going to be huge for you. And I think, Pat, within just days, people who will start experience maybe some joy they've never had before, and start finding a little bit more peace in their life. Because without God, and I say this over and over again in my life, I learned that what I pour into me is what flows out of me.
Yep.
And,
right.
God doesn't force that upon us. We get to choose. And so today, I guess I would ask our listeners, what do you choose today? Listening to this and listening, Pat, I love your teachings and what you bring to us, because there's such great practical principles that we can bring into everyday life and start today doing, and some of us, I think it's just putting it in front of us every morning, every day, that we have something that's helping us growing our faith just a little bit more and more. Would you agree?
I agree. Definitely.
Well, Pat, thank you so much again for sharing with us today. Thank you for being here, investing your time with us, because I'm growing from them as well. But I've always grown from your teaching. I've always, something with Pat is I love that you're a man who you say you are. The things that Pat's sharing with us, these are things that Pat has found. He's not just looking something up and giving it to you. These are practical things that he's actually lived his life out doing. And you have always been a great example to us who have served under you. And I thank you so much for that.
Lord.
You have always been Jesus with skin on for us, and you have encouraged me. And you're one of those people I look at that I say, I want to rub elbows with, I want to emulate that, because you have those characteristics, how you love your wife, how you love your kids, how you love your family, how you love your God, how you serve others. Those are things that I want in my life. And so, Pat, thank you again for being here today with us, doing this. This is a joy. You're right. I mean, we're living the dream.
That's
Not
right.
too many people get to do a podcast with their mentor, and I get that, and I am so thankful for that. So, well, everyone, until next week, we're going to ask you, just keep being intentional. We'll see you then. Have a great week.